In part 1 of this series, my friend, I am going to teach you the exact method that I have used to help thousands of English learners around the world just like you finally speak English fluently. Are you ready? Well then, let's jump right in. We're starting off with this series speaking about how to make long sentences in English. And part 1 of this series is all about the introduction to the 5 W's. And I'm going to help you understand the 5 W's and why they are important using a 6-day plan. So I want to make sure you have your notebook out. You are taking notes as we go through this lesson because it's going to change your life. So step 1 is all about the 5 W's and understanding them. Looking at day 1, we have the who, what, when, where, and why. Let's start with the who. What is the who and why is it important? You see, the who refers to the main person or people that are connected with what you are talking about. You see, as an English learner, I know you're focused on mastering the grammar rules. I know you're focused on memorizing tons of words, and I know you're focused on improving your pronunciation. Each of these things, they're each very important, but when it comes to English fluency, it's more important for you to be able to convey the right information. To let the person know who's listening to you that you have a good grasp of your opinion, your ideas, and if you're telling a story, all the details connected to the story. That includes who is involved. Then we have the when. Again, we're going over the basic structure and then we're going to dive even deeper. The when. When we say when, we're speaking about the time or season that is connected with what you are talking about. Think about this in your own language. When someone is telling you something, as they're speaking, you start to imagine it in your mind. This is the awesomeness of your brain. Someone speaking to you, you're imagining what they're saying. And if they are able to include the right details, it makes it even more enjoyable to listen to them. Tell me more. Tell me more. I want you to experience that when you speak English. When you speak English and include the right information, the person listening to you will not only think that you speak English fluently, they will also enjoy listening to you. This is why the 5 W's method is so important. Now we're going to go to the where. This W, where, refers to the location or place that is connected with what you are talking about. As you are giving your idea, your opinion, or describing an experience, you need to make sure that you are also including where this situation happened. You need to help the person listening to you be able to visualize where the situation occurred. Then we go to the next W. We have the what. Now the what refers to what is actually happening. Maybe you're eating lunch. Maybe you're taking an airplane. Maybe you're working. Maybe you're studying. Again, you want to make sure the person understands what is happening. I want to make sure this is clear. The reason why the 5 W's method works so well to help you as an English learner improve your English fluency is because it finally shows you what English fluency looks like to the human brain. I'm able to describe everything, who, what, when, where, and now we have the why. Why are you telling me this information? So the why refers to the reason that is connected with what you are talking about. Why did the person do what they're doing? Why do you have this opinion? Why insert into the blank? So for day 1, the focus is again understanding the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. Now that we have our foundation, now that we understand the basics of the 5 W's method, it's time to move to day 2. And day 2 is focused on the who and the what. now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. Remember, I explained we are going through this process to help you master the 5 W's. So now that we're on day 2, we're looking at the who and the what. So you'll see right here, we have 10 different examples for the who. You see that we have right here, we have Brenda, we have Carl, Diana, Eric, Frank, Gloria, Heather, Ian, Janelle, Kevin, individuals. These are simply names of individuals, but we have to go even deeper. So I want us to take a look first at Brenda. This individual's name is Brenda, and let's say this is what Brenda looks like. So remember, we are focusing on the who. So if we're focused on the who and we see this image of this individual, it's not just that her name is Brenda. No, we need to describe her. So what do you see as you look at this image? What do you see? How can we describe her? Oh, she's smiling. A woman named Brenda, a smiling woman named Brenda. We're describing the who. If someone were listening to you and they couldn't see this image, how would you describe her? Oh, I see that she has long, flowing, dark brown hair. And then look at her eyes. She looks extremely happy. She's wearing what? Red lipstick. She has beautiful teeth. What are we doing? We are describing who this individual is. So now, instead of just saying Brenda, we can add, oh, Brenda's wearing red lipstick. The Brenda I know with the long, flowing, dark brown hair. The Brenda with a wonderful smile. What is happening? We are describing the who. Remember, I'm teaching you how to finally speak English fluently. And speaking English fluently is all about giving the right details, but also being concise. And we're starting off with the who. So we have Brenda. Now imagine we did the exact same thing, and I want you again to look with me. Now let's see a man. His name is Carl. We're still on the who. Now we have a different image. Again, think about having to describe this person to someone who's listening to you. It doesn't matter if you're an intermediate English learner or an advanced English learner. This is a skill that you must master in order to do what? In order to speak English fluently. So now we have this man right here. And if, once again, we are trying to describe who this man is, well, I first personally see that he has a large or a big beard. And his hair is kind of blonde and kind of brown mixed. Sometimes we say dirty blonde in English. Then we see that, wow, he has a very intense expression. Look at his eyes. Look how intense he is looking at the camera. Again, we are describing this man. His name is Carl, but what else do we see about Carl that we can use to describe who this man actually is? Well, it looks like he's a white man. Maybe he's from Finland. What else? He's wearing a black hat. You see what's happening, right? We're giving the right amount of details to describe who he is. But remember, for day 2, our focus is the who and the what. So now if you look at the what, okay, so we have different examples of individuals, but what are these individuals doing? So let's say, for example, we have 10 different things that could be done. 10 different actions, maybe eating breakfast, watching television, taking a walk, talking on the phone, eating a sandwich, taking a nap, work, reading a book, writing a letter, drinking some juice. What are you noticing? We're not giving difficult pieces of information. These are things that even if you are a beginner, You can understand, oh, eating breakfast. I remember when I was learning Korean, I was at the beginner level, right? Because I understand your journey as an English learner. I had to learn Korean and I was in my late 20s. It was not easy. I love Korean. I love Korean people, but it was a challenging experience for me. When you're learning a language, you have to start at the beginning level. And when you start as a beginner, you learn simple action verbs like this. Oh, eating breakfast, watching television. So we're not grabbing difficult pieces of information. We're grabbing important pieces of information. And when we combine them, that's when fluency occurs. So let's again go back to Brenda. And let's say Brenda is eating breakfast. Again, we're on day 2, getting deeper into the who and the what. So let's check out the image for eating breakfast. All right. Now listen, I'm your teacher. I love oatmeal. I love granola. It's true. I love granola. I love oatmeal. So if we're looking at this image, and remember, we're on the what. We want to give as many details as possible when we're describing what a person is doing. So an individual, yes, is eating breakfast, but what type of breakfast? What kind of food do we see in this image? I want you right now to think in English. As you're watching this video lesson, and if you're listening, I want you to start imagining, what do you see in this image? What are they eating? Let's be very descriptive. Well, for me, I see some pumpkin seeds. I think these are pumpkin seeds right here. Delicious. All right. We see some pumpkin seeds. I think these are oats right here. These might be some almond or slivers of almond, right? Then we see that this is some milk in the bowl. Maybe this is a coconut flake. You see what's happening, right? As we zoom in and get a little bit closer, we suddenly get the ability to find more details. So now when we go back to describe what's happening, instead of just saying, oh, he or she is eating breakfast, I can now say she's eating a bowl of granola that has coconut flakes, slivers of almond, pumpkin seeds. Listen, I love all of these things. That's why you're getting the extra, right? What's happening? We are going into more detail. Why? Now you are understanding how to speak English fluently using this simple method. This simple method, the 5 W's method. So again, on day 2, you're focusing on the who and the what, going deeper and deeper into understanding how to describe individuals. Now, we just looked at 2 images, but you'll see if you get the ebook that there are 10 different images, and you can practice describing each individual, getting practice how to actually describe an individual so that you can start mastering this first aspect of the 5 W's method. And then the second aspect, again, the what. Describing what's happening. Maybe they're watching TV. What are they watching? Maybe they're taking a walk. Describe the area. Describe their clothes. Describe what's happening in the image. This leads us now to day number 2. Day number 2 is all about combining the details to create a sentence. Remember, on day number 2, we fought the first part of day number 2. We focused on how to get the details. Now we're still on day number 2, but we're putting the compilation. I'm leaving all of this in the video. We're putting all the details together to create sentences. Again, I love this method because it really is going to help you speak English fluently without being stressed. So look at this. The first sentence, remember we had the who, right? Who, we have Brenda. Now we have what? Brenda eats breakfast. But remember, we expanded that when we went into even more detail. So now you can even add to this. Brenda is eating a bowl of granola with slices or slivers of almond, coconut flakes, and pumpkin seeds. You see how this shorter sentence all of a sudden started to expand, and we only have the who and the what in the sentence. You saw it, right? This is what happens when you use this simple method. And what about the second sentence? Again, we learned about the man Carl, right? So we have Carl. And what was Carl doing? Now, we didn't go over the television portion, but I want you to use your imagination. What is Carl doing? Watching television. Now, for you, again, this is for your practice. You can expand and say, oh, what television show is he watching? What network is he watching? Describe the television that he's using. Again, day 2 is all about you mastering the who and the what. Now we move to day number 3. Again, I hope you're taking notes. We're moving to day number 3, and day number 3 is all about the when. We're focusing now on the when. Remember, this 5 W's method is all about the who, what, when, where, and why. Pieces of information, details that you give when you're speaking, and this is how you speak English fluently. So, for the when, we have some examples. Again, I am just giving you a taste, right, of what you find in the ebook if you'd like to continue studying. All right, so the when. Now we have the first option. We have the time of day being 10 a.m., noon, etc. Giving you examples of how to describe the when, depending on what you're speaking about. Or you can say the day of the week. Maybe it's Monday or Tuesday or Thursday. You have the month of the year. Again, different examples of time periods. You can give the year, a holiday, or a special day. You can give the exact date. My birthday is July 10th. Very true. All right. You can give a particular event, the Olympics, or a wedding day, or a season, hours before, hours after or before a specific situation. Remember, when it comes to when, you're just trying to help the person that's listening to you understand the time period. They're trying to imagine it. So, as we continue now, we're still on day 3. Let's look at the previous sentences we had. Remember, we had Brenda and we had Carl. What were they doing? Brenda was eating breakfast and Carl was watching television. Again, we have the who and we have the what. Now we need to add the when. So we have some examples for the when. All right, we have examples for the when. Let's say we're going to add 11 a.m. And then for the second one, we're going to add Wednesdays. Remember, what are you seeing? It seems so simple. This is why I love teaching this method. It seems almost too simple. Like, wait, Tiff, who, what, when? Yeah, simple pieces of information. But watch as the sentence starts to get longer. Making longer sentences using this simple method. I want to help you speak English fluently and enjoy the process and not experience any frustration. So we have for the when 11 a.m. and also Wednesdays. So if we combine, again on day 3, if we combine this information, adding it to our already created sentence, what do we have? So we have Brenda, the who. Then we have what Brenda was doing, eating breakfast, and at what time? At 11 a.m. Brenda eats breakfast. That's a sentence, but now we're adding the when, at 11 a.m. You see what's happening? Our sentence is expanding using simple details, using the 5 W's method. The exact same thing happens for Carl. Carl, who? What was he doing? Watching TV. When? On Wednesdays. You see what's happening? So day 3 is all about helping you understand how to add the time period to expand your sentences. You got it? Excellent. Don't forget, all right, we started with the who, then the what, and now we're going to the when. Now it's time for day 4. Day 4 is all about the where. Remember, the place, where the situation took place. So let's give these examples. Again, there's no wrong answer. I'm just helping you understand in your brain how to organize these simple little details and then combine them to make an amazing sentence. A sentence that a native English speaker would use or create. A sentence that shows you can speak English fluently because you're able to take details, bring them together, and create a sentence that turns into something that I, as a native English speaker listening to you, can visualize in my mind. So where, for example, let's say we have in the park or at home or downtown or in the classroom, you see all of these different examples of places. Now, what is it time to do? It's time to combine this information, adding it to our already created sentences. We are only on day 4. And already I can tell that you're understanding, wait a minute, this is really a simple method, but it's very powerful. So what do we have already? Sticking with Brenda and with Carl. So we have Brenda, the who. What is she doing? Eating breakfast. When? At 11 a.m. Who, what, and when. Then we have Carl, the who. What is he doing? Watching television. When? On Wednesdays. All right, so we have the information, who, what, and when. Now it's time to add the where. So we come down and remember our where, the first one we're starting off with right here is in the park. So look at this image. Now going back to earlier, what I was explaining to you. Yes, we could simply say that, this is a park. But looking at this image, you can add more information. Describe the park. Wow, okay, I love the plants and the bushes that are in the park. I'm at a park with beautiful trees all around, and maybe they have beautiful flowers lining the walkway. So you can describe the location. But the first one is at the park. So now our sentence looks like this. Brenda, who does what? Eats breakfast where? I'm going to change the color. In the park when? At 11 a.m. Who, what, when, and where. You see what's happening, right? Our sentence is expanding, but each of the parts of the sentence just recognize or represent simple details. Simple details that you know. We're just putting them together to make a good sentence. For Carl, we have who? Carl, what is he doing? Watches television. Okay? Where? At home. So let's underline that. At home. And when? On Wednesdays. Again, we are just simply putting the simple details together to create our sentence. So let me go back to our page. Again, we're speaking about where. So where was Carl actually doing this? Now we have at home and when. He was doing it on Wednesdays. We have who, what, when, and where. You're seeing what's happening, right? Now it's time for us to move to our next step. The next step is understanding the why. This is day 5, the why. What's the reason for your opinion? What's the reason for this situation? What's the reason for this action? So I want us to look at some of the examples. I'll give you about 3 or 4 examples that I have included. Again, reasons why. So if we're speaking about, hey, Brenda, why is Brenda doing this? She enjoys the weather. What about Carl? I'll give you 2 examples. What about Carl? Why is he doing it? His favorite show comes on. Simple pieces of information, but watch what's going to happen when we add them to the sentences we already have. So we already have the first part of the sentence. Look at what happens with our sentence. So we have Brenda. What is she doing? She's eating breakfast. Where? In the park. When? At 11 a.m. Why? Because she enjoys the weather. Come on now, listen to the sentence. Brenda eats breakfast in the park at 11 a.m. because she enjoys the weather. If I'm listening to you and you say this sentence, I immediately think, wow, your English is amazing. Man, you are a fluent English speaker. Why? You've given me each piece of information, each detail that I need as the listener to understand who, what, when, where, and why. All of my questions are answered. Who you're talking about, what was she doing, when, where, and why. You answered my questions. This is what English fluency is all about, mastering this 5 W's method. This is the first part of English fluency. Let's check out Carl. Carl, who, what is he doing, watches television, where, at home. I'm leaving this in there. I don't edit it out. When? On Wednesdays. Hold on one second. There we go. And make sure everything's good. All right. And then why? Because his favorite show comes on. These sentences are amazing. Why? Because they include each of the 5 W's. And I want you to see them a little bit larger. Look at these sentences. Brenda. Come on, Brenda. Yes, Brenda. Brenda eats breakfast in the park at 11 a.m. because she enjoys the weather. Carl watches television at home on Wednesdays because his favorite show comes on. What happened? We included each of the 5 W's in the sentences, and that's why the sentences are amazing. Now, day 6, again, following along with the plan. Day 6 is simply your review day. We created 2 full sentences, amazing sentences. But in total, there are actually 20 example sentences that help you understand how to use the 5 W's, simple details, answering who, what, when, where, and why, to create these full sentences. So day 6 is your review day. Listen, my goal in this series, this is part 1 of the series, so you don't want to miss the next few parts. My goal in this series is to truly help you finally speak English fluently. And I'm teaching you the method that I literally have used to help thousands upon thousands of English learners around the world master this 5 W's method. And it's helped them speak English fluently. So I truly hope you enjoyed this lesson. Don't miss the next one. We're going to dive right back in. We already did 6 days of the plan, and we'll do the next 6 days in our next lesson. I will talk to you next time, but remember to speak English. Da 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 do do. You still there? You know what time it is. It's story time. Hey, hey, hey. I said it's story time. All right. Listen, you know how much I love teaching you English, and you also know how much I love telling stories. So this story, it makes me smile and chuckle every time I think about it. So I have been in the same apartment for quite a few years. And maybe about 2 years ago, a year and a half actually, I had to purchase some new chairs. And these chairs were a bit expensive. I was gonna use them, or I'm still using them for different work videos. So I wanted to get some high quality chairs. So I bought these chairs, took my mom with me. My mom loves interior decorating and designing. So she said she wanted to join, and I said, of course. So we had kind of a mommy-daughter day, and we had lunch and everything, and we selected these chairs. I picked the color I wanted. I picked the exact leather. Beautiful chairs. So a part of buying these chairs, what they came with was a warranty. I paid a little extra because they were expensive chairs, so I bought the warranty. Fast forward a few months, took a while to make the chairs. The chairs arrived. Beautiful. So I loved the chairs, but as soon as they arrived, I noticed that there was kind of a scratch. There was something that needed to be fixed on the chairs. And because I had a warranty, all I had to do was call the store and say, hey, the chairs look great. There is kind of an issue with one of the chairs. Would you be able to fix it? They said, no problem. We'll send somebody out to fix that part of the chair. Excellent customer service. So I'm like, okay. So 2 days went by and the guy came to fix my chair. I thought it was only going to be one guy, but there happened to be two guys. So one was older and one was younger. And I said, maybe the other guy's the apprentice. Maybe he's being trained. So they both walked into my apartment, and that's exactly what it was. One was the expert and he was training the other guy. I said, sure, no problem. Come on in. So the expert, you could tell he was an expert. He moved like he knew what he was doing. So he walked into my room and he went directly to the chair and he kind of started working. Now, the guy that was with him, the younger guy who was the apprentice, he followed along, but he was going a bit slower. So I let them, I wanted to make sure they had their own space and what they needed to do. But I noticed, and as I was looking, I was in the living room and I was looking at the younger guy. He walked slowly into the room and he paused. And so I just kind of walked in just to see what was going on, but he couldn't see me. So I noticed that he was looking at himself in the mirror. It was cute. So I was trying to observe without him seeing that I was looking at him, and I was smiling. So this guy, he probably was about like 5'10", 5'11", he wasn't fat, but he was a bigger guy, very handsome, right? Beard. So he was looking at himself in the mirror like, right? So I'm looking at him, and then he realized I was staring at him. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. He was like, ma'am. He said, ma'am, this mirror is amazing. So we both started laughing. I said, I see you like looking at yourself. He was like, oh no, it's just, it was a full length mirror and I could see my whole outfit and myself and it's a nice mirror. I said, well, honey, I'm glad you like the mirror. I said, you can keep looking at yourself. Don't worry. Meanwhile, the older guy is still working on my chair and fixing and not even paying attention to the young guy. So I just thought it was funny because he was in his own world. And we all like to feel good about ourselves. It was just very cute to see this guy kind of go into a different mode and just kind of check himself out. So I will never forget that moment. I told him, keep checking yourself out, boo. It's okay. He just laughed. And they were both very nice. They fixed the chair and everything was fine. But I'll never forget that moment. Whenever I walk into my room that has the full-length mirror, I think about that time when the guy was kind of checking himself out. All right, guys, I will talk to you in the next lesson.